Well, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're looking at this orientation. Welcome to Online Math 1001. This is Quantitative Skills and Reasoning, and I'm Dr. Link, and this is part one of the orientation to the course. Let's talk about our agenda for part one here. I want to give you a welcome, which I'm doing right now, but also then let you know a little bit about me and the Meet Your Professor slides here. Then I want to go into an introduction to what Math 1001 is all about, talk about how to be successful in the online course, a little bit about motivation, a word about technology, talk about the academic integrity code, and then finally talk about grades and fairness in the course. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here. Again, hello, I'm Dr. Lunick, your professor, and I usually go by Dr. L online, and sometimes in my lecture classes too, I tell students if they're more comfortable referring to me as Dr. L, that's fine with me. A couple things about me. I created this course, and this is the newest online course to Georgia Highlands College, and so I'm hoping that you will find things that are useful to you in it. At the different times I may be asking you questions about, hey, is this working for you, or is this, how's things going, and so forth. And also I've developed and taught distance and learning and online courses for over 20 years now, so I've got quite a bit of experience doing this. And my background is actually in mathematics. As you can see, I have the degrees from Vanderbilt and the University of South Florida in math, and as well as in higher education, my doctorate degree from Nova Southeastern. I've been with GHC for about 8.5 years now, and before that I was down in St. Petersburg, Florida at SPC, that's St. Petersburg College, and had a good opportunity to come here to Georgia Highlands and have enjoyed moving to Georgia and living up here for the last 8.5 years. So also I'm a big sci-fi fan. I'm a big fan of the Doctor Who series. Is a big like for me, so I try to catch that regularly as I can. And I also enjoy hiking and camping and spending time with my family. You can read a little bit more about me in the introductory discussion. For a little bit longer, some more details in there. Just as I ask you to do, I've done the same. All right, well, let's get on with the formal introduction to Math 1001. And this course is an alternative to the Area A of the core curriculum. It is not intended to supply sufficient algebraic background for students who intend to take pre-calculus or the calculus sequence for mathematics or science majors or science majors. Students receive credit towards graduation for only one of the following courses. That's Math 1001 or Math 1111. So that's kind of an official statement here from the college, and I just want to make it clear to you that you're in the right course. Please be sure to check your program, study, and make sure that this is the right course towards graduation. Of course, we surely know that we want you to graduate and be in the right courses at the right time. Okay, well, sometimes students ask, how is this different from a traditional lecture classes? Well, first of all, this course is 100% online or at a distance, so that makes a big difference because you're not going to be coming into a lecture every day and seeing me, or every other day and seeing me. You have to be self-motivated. That is, you have to sit down and plan and say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it rightly. I'm going to be in there every week. I'm going to do the assignments as scheduled and keep on track. You have to plan to spend at least 9 to 12 hours per week in studying and using the materials posted on the course websites. If you have a cell phone, a smartphone, program your study time into your calendar, have it repeat, and have it alert you, hey, this is your study time, nothing else. Okay, and so that's the best way to approach it. You also have to be able to ask for help by email, discussions, or by phone, and that's an important part of this course is your ability to ask for help as you get stuck with different concepts. And speaking of help, how do you get help? Well, what you can do is you can send me an email or call me. There's my phone number, 678-872-8065. That's my office phone number. I also do accept appointments to my office. I'm on the Cartersville campus, and so that might require somebody to travel a distance, or maybe if you're well outside the Cartersville area, you maybe just have to talk to me by email, phone, or during one of the live Collaborate sessions, as we'll talk about here. You can also use the general discussion area for each unit. I'll be monitoring those pretty much daily, and as I see questions pop up, then I'll be glad to answer those if other students in the class haven't answered them already. Also, you can participate in the weekly live Collaborate sessions. This orientation is actually being quote-unquote filmed using a live Collaborate, and you could have actually been in this orientation if I had opened it up to you before, but I wanted to get into the class and want to have everybody have the ability to see it and not try to figure out a time for that. So you can look at the extra help area of this Getting Started module for the setting up and using Blackboard Collaborate information link, and be sure to look at that. It'll be quite helpful to you. All right, also when getting help, you can use the GHC Tutoring Center. While you cannot ask questions directly about test questions or Mymathlab graded homework, you can ask similar questions from the exercise sets in each section of the textbook or ebook. If you go at the end of each exercise, and you'll see as you go along in the course, I'll be telling you, focusing on what those problems are. There are kind of extra problems there. You can say, oh gosh, this one in exercise set for 7.1 is similar to a question I'm having a lot of difficulty with. And that's a good way to communicate with the tutors, or actually with me. Say, hey, here's one in the exercise sets that's similar to what I'm having problems with. Can you, help me out on that? And I sure would be glad to do that, and also the Tutoring Center. Also, online tutoring through something called Brain Fuse is available to students enrolled in online courses. So look at an extra help area of this Getting Started module for more information on tutoring, and it'll take you out to there's actually a link there to the Tutoring Center, and that has information on our Brain Fuse system as well. Okay, so what is this course about? Well, the course is constructed around 5 units. Okay, each of these units is divided into weeks. During each week, you will study 1 to 3 textbook sections. So I've kind of divided this up, and through my years of experience teaching and talking to folks and going to conferences and doing some research, I think this might be a structure. I'm hoping it's a new structure I'm trying this time for your class. And from what students have told me in the past about different components of the way this structure works and things that they wanted from when I switched structures in the course, I think this is going to be an advantageous for you, this way this is structured. So the first unit, Unit 1, is on functions and graphs and personal finance. That's a basic look at it. Something giving you a basic idea as the basic idea of simple interest is one item in that unit. Unit 2 is functions and graphs and personal finance. This is a little more advanced stuff, something like compound interest, and we'll take a look at exponential functions and logarithmic functions, some more complex functions. Unit 3, we talk about logic. Unit 4, you're going to look at counting methods and probability theory. Unit 5, you're going to take a look at statistics. And we'll have more on all this in part 2 of the orientation. All right, moving along about what is this course about, that is, what are the assignments? Well, here are the orientation activities. You're doing one of them. You're looking at the videos, and we'll talk where we just talk about policy items as well. You do the orientation policy quiz. There's an introduction discussion to participate in. There's an introduction Dropbox you're going to participate in. And there's the Mymathlab orientation of Mymathlab. In addition, as we go through the course, you're going to see there's 23 Mymathlab read ebook, that is the text and checkpoints, and as well as 23 Mymathlab homework assignments that are graded. We'll talk more about this in part 3 of this orientation. Also, as far as other assignments, you're going to have 4 applied projects, 4 tests which are proctored, 4 discussions, and a proctored final exam. And we'll talk more about this in part 2 of this orientation, about the nature of the online proctoring, and you don't have to come to a testing center proctor. You do that all online. Okay, what about the course websites? There are actually 2 websites that you must use in this course. These are the D2L course website that you're in now, and the Mymathlab, which as you go through the course, we're just going to abbreviate that as MML course site. You must purchase an access code to the MML site, so that's very important, and it's very important you purchase the correct access code when you get to part 2 and also in the course syllabus. And in an email that I sent out to everybody earlier, you have some information about the correct codes to use. Okay, In talking about the websites, you might say, what is at each of these websites and why is it important for me to look at these? Well, over on the left side of the screen, I have some information about the D2L site. Here you'll find the syllabus, the official course calendar, tests and the final exam, the projects, the discussion areas, some study materials, and also the official course grade. Over at the MML site, the Mymathlab site, you'll have the ebook and study materials associated with that. Graded homework, example problems, some help to those, and I put up some sample tests in the Mymathlab area as well for you to use. Well, how to be successful in this course? Well, you're starting off here right. Complete all of the orientation. It's really important you do that because there's some finer details of that I talk about here in part 2 and 3 of the orientation. Make sure you keep up with the schedule. That's important. Read the syllabus and understand the class policies. Make sure you use the Mymathlab materials every week. Make sure you read the textbook and the ebook and work the homework exercise problems as you go along. Important that you call or email your professor for help as you go along to be successful. And again, spend at least 10 to 12 hours per week on the course. And it's best to study at least 3 times per week, not jam it all into one day. Now notice I changed it from 9 to 10 hours here, and that's I want to see if I can catch you. Hopefully you caught that. So it'll depend. Some people, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours. Some weeks it might be more. So, but have a set schedule, and that's the best for this course. That way, you try to avoid other things taking over, and it's easy to say, oh, I'll do something else. Easy to say, oh, I'm going to go out with the friends tonight, and where I really should be studying. Okay, to be successful, also you want to learn to use the 1083 calculator or R84 calculator and use it from the beginning of the course. Also, if you do not understand a concept from the textbook or how to use a calculator, get help immediately, whether it be through me or the tutoring center. And please understand that I, Dr. L, expect to get questions from you, and I'm happy to answer simple questions or complex questions to help you learn. Sometimes people just say, gosh, it's a simple thing on the calculator, and that's fine. Or it's a more complex situation, and so that's fine. I'll work with you on that. So again, don't hesitate to get help as you need it. Okay, one of the big things that the challenges that students in online courses have is staying motivated. So who or what will motivate you to give your best? And notice I have who and what in large capital W's because that's important. As you can see here, a little picture of the woman with the hand popping out with the flowers on the screen. You're successful, you get your flowers. So are there friends, are there coworkers, are there families that are supportive of you and working for you? Sometimes folks, may not have the best situation where the family or friends are as supportive as they like. And so, that's time to come to the course and get support from your fellow students in this course. I do have a general discussion area for, things. Just be careful what you post there, though. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm not saying not to discuss things, but just remember that everybody in the course has access to read that. So if there's something that you don't want everybody to know, and you've maybe have a friend in this class, maybe just communicate them with that directly. Okay, set up a system to reward yourself for small wins. Small wins are like, gosh, I finished this orientation, so I'm going to treat myself out here. I'm going to go to Dunkin' Donuts and get myself a donut and coffee. So, or maybe if that's not your thing, maybe you can buy yourself a box of chocolate and have chocolate or watch your favorite TV program. That's for example, or going camping or hiking or I say CD player here because when I was working on my doctorate degree, I had what was known as 4 practicums, which are basically thesis papers, major thesis papers to write before I could actually get to my dissertation, and you're doing those along with the classes. And so I said, okay, I knew people had told me it's hard to start the first one, so I got started, and I told myself at the time, the big things, this is dating myself, but I didn't have, iPhones weren't out. MP3s, I think, were just hitting the market. And so there was this nice CD player at the time they called the boom boxes that I wanted. And I thought, well, gosh, if I get through this, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to buy that for myself because I really like it. It was kind of a neat little compact stereo system. And so sure enough, I got through it, and I also saved money as I went along and purchased it. So that was a reward, and that helped motivate me, and I set up small little rewards like that as I went along through those practicums. And one of the major ones, typically as I went hiking or camping and schedule a trip and say, okay, you got to get this done so you can go on a trip. Okay, but schedule things, do things that are going to help motivate you and be positive in your life. Okay, who will motivate you the best? Again, there will be times when you feel like there is like a 160-pound math book sitting on your back. You've hit the mathematics mountain that you cannot climb, or this mathematics wall, as the picture shows here. That's the time to get some coaching. Contact Dr. Al here. Contact me and say, hey, I've kind of hit one of those mathematical walls. I'm having trouble on this. Let's talk and get you over that. Or maybe you're going to talk to some friends and talk to a tutor or somebody, or in some instances, sometimes folks want to talk to one of the counselors at the college. That's perfectly fine. Whoever will help you to get over maybe a little bit of anxiety you're having about the course, or some issues. We want you to be successful. Okay, let's talk a little bit about technology, a word about technology here. You definitely want to run the Georgia View System Checker. You can find that on the login page to D2L. It says check your system, and you want to look at that. And if anything comes out in red, those are the things you want to address. And typically there's a link there to some help of how to update your system. Okay, make sure you have a backup plan should your primary computer have technical problems. Okay, critically important, since this course is 100% online, you need to do that. There are computers on all GHC campuses. However, be aware that you cannot use those for online testing, such as in the computer labs and such. That is a big no-no. Okay, you have to have a private location like your house or an office or something to do that. So, but you can, for doing your Mymathlab homeworks, working on your projects and other things, you can use the GHC campus ones for everything else except for the testing. If you do not have virus or spyware protection on your computer, you are asking for trouble. Matter of fact, our system detects certain issues that students might be having. So if you're submitting a paper or something and our system detects that there's a virus problem or something on your computer, it actually gets reported to our Georgia Highlands IT folks, and there's somebody who's in charge of protecting our system, and that person will contact you and say your computer has a problem. So you don't really want that to happen. So have virus and spyware protection on your computer. Make sure you do regular maintenance on your computer every week. Clear your history, your cache, your temporary internet files. That's an important thing. I know and I'm not endorsing any product, but just to tell you, something like McAfee Spyware, they have a built-in system in there where you can clean your computer, and it cleans up things for you. It cleans out all the stuff that's slowing down your computer. So, just be aware too, and I didn't put this in the slides, but it's in the course syllabus. Having technical problems does not automatically relieve you of the responsibility of taking assignments. And so we don't want any situations where, because your computer isn't up and running right and things aren't working right on your end, that you can't take a test. That doesn't automatically mean that I'm going to say, yeah, I'll change the date for this. It's your responsibility to make sure that you have a system that's up and running correctly. Okay, enough said about that. We'll just from there lead into the Academic Integrity Code. I have a link on the screen here of the Georgia Highlands Academic Integrity Code, Georgia Highlands College, and each student who registers for classes at the college agrees to adhere by this. And this link is also in the syllabus, so you can go there as well. Just some things about this is all work that you turn in for a grade, including graded homeworks, tests, quizzes, discussions, projects, extra credit assignments, is to be your own. By that policy, failure to follow the directions and instructions, implicit or implied, on any assignment will constitute cheating or academic dishonesty. At my discretion, you will be subject to having the matter reported to Director of Student Life. Typically, that's that's the first action, and then it'll be either a recommendation from me for a formal or informal resolution, hearing, or procedure. And this could result in the grade of 0 for the assignment, failure of the course, or even expulsion for the college if it's severe enough and you really don't want something like that on your record. So just be honest in what you do here. Let me be clear, on each graded online homework assignment, test, and the following exam, you must work without help from anyone. No friends, no relatives, no tutors, no other teachers, no paid consultants. So if it's an actual assignment that you're getting graded, you cannot ask anyone about it except for me. If there's a question on something, you can send it to me and say, hey, I've got a question on this assignment, this graded assignment. Dr. L, here's what's going on. You may not give help to, and you may not receive help from anyone on graded work. Okay? This includes sharing graded homework, tests, or exam questions with other students by any means, audio, visual, or text messaging. So be aware of that. Work honestly here. Let me just be clear about a couple things. On the applied projects, give you the option to working in groups. To be clear, you can only discuss and work on the project with your group members for that project. If you choose to work individually, then you must work without help from anyone. Again, no friends, relatives, paid consultants, and so forth. That's exclusive groups. For those of you working in groups, it means if John, Sally, and Diane are working together, it's just John, Sally, and Diane talking to each other. You can't talk to Susie out here because she's in another group or working individually. Okay, and again, just look at it as your group as competing with that other group, kind of like maybe that they're a different group competing for the same prize that you are for a project. So you don't want to give them secrets that you have. Okay, on all applied projects, you should direct and send any questions you have to me, okay? GT librarians may assist you in finding materials that you can use as reference on your projects. You can go to the libraries. There's a link that I'll have with this to the libraries, and you can ask librarians questions, but again, it's got to be basically, I'm looking for materials over, simple interest or compound interest, something like that. All projects will be subject to turn in for an originality check. Okay, when you put those in the Dropbox, they'll happen on the Mac. And any project that is not 90% original will be returned with one chance to correct the content in question. Okay. Now, sometimes if I see that it's at 90% and you've coded something in there, sometimes the originality check shows something less than 90%. I'll make a determination of saying, okay, yeah, you forgot to quote you on something, or do you want to quote this and send it back to you? So we'll talk more about that in part 2 of the orientation. Okay, let's talk about grades. Here's my philosophy of grades. A grade is a measure of a student's knowledge of the subject matter within a particular period of time. A student earns a grade by demonstrating through the completion of a series of measurement instruments that he or she has acquired an understanding of the subject material and can apply that material to the appropriate situation. Okay, so that's what we're doing by testing and the projects and things. You're demonstrating to me that you've got the skills and knowledge here. Okay, a grade is not a negotiated commodity. Okay, it's not like, well, if you give me 2 points on this, I'm pretty straightforward about when I grade. I typically on projects I'll print out everybody's project, put them in a stack, and grade them all at one time with the same rubric. And so you'll see I'll have rubrics up that'll help you see this. A grade is earned through your hard work and based upon your professor's analysis of the extent to which you have achieved success in meeting the established criteria or learning standards, objectives, and outcomes. And pretty much, you're going to see that, my standards on Mymathlab homeworks, the correct or incorrect, and on the projects you'll see rubrics. On the discussions you'll see the rubric of how I grade, and so that's something to keep in mind. Okay. Also on grades and fairness, let's move to fairness here. The due dates on all assignments are set the same for all students. And again, my goal is to grade fairly, consistency, and non-arbitrary and non-capriciously for all students. If I extended a date on an assignment for one student, I will do it for everybody. That's the bottom line. So if somebody requests an extension or something, I'll consider it and see. Some semester I have students who would like to complete the course faster than 15 weeks. If you feel this is the case, let me know and we can discuss it. If that's the case, then I we'll take a look and see why and if, and we'll talk about it, and the implication of that with regard to some of the assignments. Okay, with fairness, keep in mind that we will follow the policy set forth in the syllabus. What's in the syllabus is what I mean to follow. I didn't put it there just to have a bunch of 14 pages or whatever it is now of information up there for you just to fill space. Okay, just because you want or ask for an exception to something in the policies does not mean that it will be granted. A lot of students, sometimes I get people who think, oh, they'll send me an email and say, thank you for doing this for me, and that thank you is in their request. But frankly, that's kind of rude in emails. Most people don't realize that's not part. It violates the rules of etiquette to say thank you in advance. Well, no, I may say no to something because I don't think it's fair to everybody in the class and things. But keep in mind that all requests are considered in light of the class policy for equivalence and fairness to all students. And so I want to be fair to everybody and treat you all with respect and be respectful of the class. And that's being respectful of the class to be helpful to everybody and to treat everybody with fairness. And what I do for one student is that I do for the others. Okay, and so that brings us to the end of part one of the orientation. Again, if you have any questions about this, there's the general discussion for the orientation in the discussions area. Feel free to post your questions there, and I'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise, let's go ahead and take a little break and then go on to part two of the orientation.